Hi, putting this video together to help out a viewer who had some questions about troubleshooting a cartridge issue that he's having. So what I'm going to do is start off by measuring the resistance at the end of the RCA plugs, and then we'll backtrack up through the system to find out where we have a problem, if we do have a problem. And there's a lot of opportunity for issues. For instance, the RCA jacks come and they connect underneath the turntable. Then they're connected to the tone arm wiring, comes into the tone arm, and then the tone arm wiring connects to fingers that are mounted to the tone arm head here. And then there's a sled that slides in here. Those fingers need to contact the sled fingers. And then lastly, you've got a set of wires that go from those fingers to the cartridge. So let's backtrack and see if we can walk through this to see if there's something that'll help you out. So as you can see, I got an ohm meter here. I've got it set to ohms and I've got it set to 2000. And then we'll just measure the center of the plug to the ground on the outside. And there's 1.2 or 1200. Let's check the other one. And there's 1.6, pretty close. So the next thing we want to take a look at and pull the sled out carefully. And here's the sled. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration here. One of them is to make sure that these fingers are clean and making a good contact. The other thing to take into consideration are these wires, very small, very sensitive. Make sure that they're intact. Also that they're connected properly to the cartridge. So if that all looks pretty good, then we'd have to get underneath to take a look at the fingers that are underneath the tone arm. And the way that I do that is to use a little mirror like this, flashlight, get up underneath there and take a look at those fingers. I'm not sure you're going to be able to see that very well here, but there's a set of fingers underneath there that the tone arm wires are connected to. So we're going to want to check those out as well. So in addition to making sure that the fingers are clean on the sled here, one of the things that I found to be an issue with a lot of these Garrard sleds, if you take a look down the sled, you'll notice that as the sled, you get towards the back of the sled, you'll see that the end of the sled starts to bend down. And I've seen that that end here gets bent down so much that I don't think those fingers are making a good enough contact with the fingers above it on the tone arm. So I've actually heated a couple of these things up and bent them out straight so that you get a firm enough contact. So I've got another Garrard turntable flipped upside down here so you can take a look underneath. Here is where those RCA jacks would connect for both the left and right channels. You got to make sure that that's clean and making a good connection. And then on this side, you'll see that all of those fine tone arm wires are connected, and you need to make sure that those are all attached solidly. Also, one thing to note, if you take a look at that yellow wire, it's actually a ground wire. Can't see that. It's actually a ground wire that goes from the chassis into this 5-wire assembly, goes up and into the tone arm and attaches to the tone arm. So that could be an issue if you see that that's been disconnected. So there's one other thing we can do while we've got this sled out. The red and the green on this side are for the right channel, the blue and the white on this side for the left channel. Those wires in turn connect to the fingers. So we could check this directly at the fingers to make sure that those connections are all good. There's 1.2. And there's the 1.17. You can also go directly to the cartridge itself, 1.17, and then you could get the 1.2. So that way you know that the connections, that the cartridge is good and that the connections between the cartridge to the fingers are good. So if you still have problems, you got to back up and look at other issues. Okay? Hope this helps. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.